Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining into another session of the WeHero Learn series. I'm very excited to have Jay Allen here from the Influence Board. Jay, how you doing today?
Doing fantastic. Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Jay, you and I were talking before this call just about how we're always looking for new and innovative ways for CSR professionals and companies to create social impact. And I think sometimes there's things that we do in our everyday in our work lives, sometimes in our personal lives, that we can use to create that kind of impact. And so I was really excited to bring you on. If you could give us just the breakdown of what the Influence Board is and how you thought about this idea to get us started, that would be wonderful. Let's hear what you do.
Yeah, I've spent the last 22 years building and running some of the largest networks of influential people in the Mountain West states. Senior officers from just about every billion-dollar company in Colorado, Utah, Arizona, et cetera. All these executives were struggling with a common problem, and that was they get 30 to 50 vendor calls and emails a day, people wanting to meet with them, and they readily admit they know there's probably 1% of those they should have taken, because there were things that they needed to hear and problems they could have solved, but they don't have a filter. And so they just say no to everybody. And so they were really trying to figure out how can we create a filter for all that noise, but so that they can get access to relevant innovation, but they wanted to do it in a way that had a social impact as well, that created an asset of some kind that could be valuable. And so the idea they came up with became the Influence Board. It's a way for them to get meeting requests filtered for relevancy and take 1 or 2 relevant meetings each month in return for a meaningful donation to a worthy cause of their choosing. So they get access to relevant innovation, and they have a meaningful social impact every time they do so.
It's so cool. And just to feed it back to you to make sure I understand and the audience understands. So let's say I'm just an individual. I'm very interested in speaking with an executive at a big company. Let's say her name's Michelle. I can reach out to Michelle through the Influence Board, and I can pay a certain amount of money to have that connection with her, to have that conversation. And that money is getting donated to the nonprofits that Michelle and her company has set up to support. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, Michelle will tell you in her profile, hey, an hour of my time is $300. Here are the charities that will benefit if I accept your meeting request. And by the way, here are topics I'm interested in meeting on, and here are topics I'm not interested in meeting on. So everything is very transparent. If you fit Michelle's meeting interests and you're willing to make a $300 donation in that case to one of Michelle's charities, then she will consider the meeting. You don't pay anything unless she accepts the meeting, but at least she'll look at your meeting request and thoughtfully consider it. And if she accepts your meeting request, you make the donation and you have the meeting.
So I'm so curious for folks that are considering doing this. What are executives and leaders putting right now as meeting topics that they're interested in? What kind of conversations are typically happening on the Influence Board?
A lot of it has to do with the executives often don't know what they don't know. And so a lot of what they're willing to meet on is, hey, if you have something that can reduce our operating cost in a certain area by at least 20%, I'm curious what it is. Or if you have a new innovative idea that can help us improve customer service in a meaningful way, I'm interested in that. And occasionally they'll get more granular. They'll say, hey, we have a cybersecurity initiative right now. If you have something innovative in the cybersecurity space, that's something I'm open to taking a look at.
And I'm so curious as well, Jay, because, the Influence Board is so cool because, as you know, executives, leaders, whoever it is, time is their most valuable resource. And so even considering something with a social impact piece like this, they're probably still in the back of their head going, how long is this going to take? How much time should I plan on giving? What do you see right now? Like, how much time are people dedicating? How many meetings are they doing a month? Would love to get a sense of what those numbers look like right now.
Yeah, so on the platform, it's always 1-hour meetings. So okay. The executives are committing to a 1-hour meeting every time they accept a meeting. Most of them are limiting the number of submissions each month to 5. So they'll consider 5 meetings. They may only accept one of the 5 each month. They may accept all 5. Really, it's based on the merit of the meeting request. They are truly not taking these meetings just to raise money for charity. They want to take relevant meetings and have a social impact as well. So they don't want to waste their time. They don't want to waste the vendor's time either. So, typically we're seeing 1 to 2 meetings a month by the executives on the platform, which is perfect.
It's a very reasonable amount. And for folks that are going like, oh, am I going to get bombarded? Like, I love that there's limits. It's very controlled. You can set those limits yourself, which makes that really easy. Jay, walk me through the setup to do this, because I think this is pretty easy for like a company to get started. So if I'm Michelle and I'm an executive at Shoo La La, how do I get started with the influence board and get this set up?
Yeah, there's a couple ways as an executive to get started. One is you may be part of an executive association that's already joined the platform, and they'll offer you a free profile if they've joined the platform as an association. But a lot of executives just go to influenceboard.com and they can create their own profile. It's free. And it takes 90 seconds and you're up and going on the influence board. We're starting to work with large enterprises as well who want to incorporate this more formally as a corporate social responsibility tool in the mix. And in that case, the organization would also be providing their leadership access to the platform.
I'm really curious about the other side of this, which is the nonprofit support. What are you noticing in regards to trends of the kinds of nonprofits that are being supported by the influence board? Do executives and teams tend to change those nonprofits quite often? Is it easy to change? Would love to get a sense of like what that piece of this looks like.
Yeah, it's interesting. When we started the influence board, we as a company didn't go pick charities to go be on the platform. Every executive who joined could nominate an organization that they wanted the funds to go to. It had to be a qualified charity. But so every time an executive would join early on, we were getting a new charity nominated. We would vet the charity and get them active. As an executive, you can pick 5 different charities or nonprofits that you want money to go to. And every time you accept a meeting, the platform will ask you, where do you want the money to go for this meeting? And you pick which organization is going to receive the funds for that particular meeting. So you can kind of spread the wealth a little bit. The nonprofits love it. This is a whole new bucket of money to draw from. It's a conversion of vendor marketing dollars into charitable funds. And the fact that their supporters can dramatically increase the amount of funding they're giving to the organization without having to write a check themselves or twist a friend's arm to write a check. It makes it real easy for their supporters to increase their giving.
I think this is interesting because at WeHero, Jay, we work so much on crafting social impact strategies, trying to increase employee engagement, but getting executives involved in that can sometimes be really challenging. But this seems like a really attainable way to actually do that, to actually get executives and leaders involved, to take that time to make a very meaningful amount of impact right out the gate with something as simple as just having a phone call with someone. So I think just getting engagement from the top level within companies, this is going to be really powerful.
And what's nice is really anybody inside the enterprise who's fielding vendor calls, could be manager level, could be the CEO, can really convert that noise into meaningful impact. So you don't have to be a top executive in the company to be able to participate on the platform. As long as you're fielding vendor calls, you're a candidate to leverage the influence board to do some good.
Yeah. Taking like a big step out, just because you've been in this space for so long, and now that you're like in this world of social impact, I want to get a sense from you. What is exciting you about the industry right now? What are you noticing outside of the influence board, whether it be a trend, a theme that you're noticing, something of interest? Just want to get that out to the audience. Like, what's really getting you excited right now?
Well, the whole trend of social impact in general is exciting to see. You see, what I think was frustrating early on is the enterprise would say the word social impact, but really, it wasn't getting pushed down. It wasn't being lived by all the employees. That has changed over the last few years. Now the employees are very much involved in ensuring that the organization is delivering on the promises and the vision of social impact that they're making. And this is one more tool to deliver on that promise. So the organization can, they may have those foundations and corporate approved charities that they already engage with. Now tools like the Influence Board and others are really handing the power back to the employees to say, okay, now go make an impact in any way that you want to and in the areas that you want to. And just having the employees have all the tools they need to drive that process themselves instead of having it pushed down from the top is, I think, the right direction to go.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Working with existing systems, and again, like you and I were talking about, just doing things that are already being done, just creating a social impact lever to that is so interesting. I was speaking with a company recently that they do corporate insurance, but they really focus on making sure that they're supporting nonprofits through that insurance program, that those premiums are going to investments like 1% for the planet, so on and so forth. And so there's so many things that we're spending money on that we can just flip to a social impact solution. It costs the same amount of money. In your case, it's totally free, which I just think so excited about our industry and how creative people are getting. Jay, are there any other final thoughts you want folks to have, or that you think people should know that are listening to this?
We have, the one thing I would add is we have tried to make this as simple as possible. I mean, it's free for the executives to join. It's free for the vendors to join. No money is exchanged unless an executive accepts a relevant meeting from a vendor and good things are happening. The only fee we take, so if it's a $100 meeting, there's a 17% utilization fee when the transaction happens. So it'd be $117 paid, and the full 100 goes to the charity, and the 17% is revenue to us. So we only succeed as an organization if we're succeeding in having an impact with nonprofits. I mean, so we're only making money if the nonprofits are succeeding as well.
I love that. One of the things you and I talked about earlier, Jay, is just the ability to report. I know that's something that's like in the roadmap, but what can people do today? Can, if I'm an executive, can I see how much money I've raised for an organization? Can I get that kind of like level of detail?
We do have data in their dashboard that they have access to. Like you said, in our roadmap, we want to be able to feed that information into other CSR tools that exist today that the enterprise might be using. But today, that's all visible in the dashboard that the executive has.
Perfect. I absolutely love this, Jay. Again, I just love ideas like this and just a new and unique way of how to create social impact within a company. We just need more ideas like this, and we're hoping you the best of success. Can you say it again, Jay, just how people can find you, how people can find the Influence Board? And of course, we'll link this in the show description as well.
Yeah, if you go to influenceboard.com, you'll see everything right there. And if you need to reach me, I'm pretty easy to reach, just jay@influenceboard.com. I field questions all the time. So if you have questions, shoot me an email and I'm happy to respond.
Perfect. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Jay, thank you so much for being generous with your time. We wish you the best of luck, and we're going to do everything we can to support you all and love what you're doing. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for letting us participate, Ben.
Awesome, Jay. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.